Good morning, my crypto people. It's the 13th of March, spring 2024, and the crypto markets have gone nuts just as much as these budgies are. Yeah? Spring, you want to go out for a fly? It's like an airport in here. Yeah? Like Manchester Airport. So spring's arrived, and along with it has a Bitcoin new all-time high. Let me pull up the chart. 72k. Look at it, it's gone nuts. And all my patrons had an advanced notice to expect a new all-time high before the halving. How much work I've got to do in the garden. Yeah, for 6 months I said, unlike most crypto so-called experts waiting for a new high after the halving, I said no, it's going to come a lot sooner than that. And that was back in September. Well, I was flagging Bitcoin's heading for a new all-time high before the halving, not some 6 months after the halving. So all these crypto experts, yeah, where's the other one gone? What are you hiding? Oh, there. So all these crypto experts, yeah, were caught up on the hop. Yeah, they're just waiting for Bitcoin to fall to 25k before they'll buy, and then 32k, and so on and so on, and they basically missed the boat. Yeah, that's what always happens. And that's not even the half of it, So, okay, so what? You fail to buy at 7k, 20k, 25k, 16k even, which I first flagged that this is an opportune moment to buy crypto at. So, what's next, MicroStrategy, The infinity loop, which I flagged to start accumulating probably in August, but more forcibly during its recent correction. I'm going to have to quiet down. These are too noisy. I've actually been twisting arms of my patrons to get in now. Don't pussyfoot around. Get in now under $500. Don't be stupid waiting for 400 and up. MicroStrategy at under $500 was cheap. Yeah, and so I piled into MicroStrategy. This is just January, just a few weeks ago. And so did my patrons, and well, the rest is history. My target was to expect 1,000 plus by the halving. And I did fantasize that maybe, just maybe, we could see a spike to maybe 1,200, the previous high. We could just touch 1,200. And what's MicroStrategy done? Look at the chart. Calm down, I'm doing a video. Calm down. Quiet. These are budgie coins. These are the altcoins, the 3 altcoins. Look at them, they're fighting. The alts are fighting for dominance. Yeah, look. Budgie coin dominance. You want to know which one's dominant? This one. Females are always dominant. She's the one who rules the roost. By the way, these are all 2 brothers and a sister who were born here. So no breeding. You won't have them. Anyway, getting distracted. MicroStrategy, crazy micro sales. I recognize that MicroStrategy is both leveraged to Bitcoin, and it was cheap relative to Bitcoin in January, and you could buy in a tax-free wrapper. So it was a no-brainer, and I literally twisted the arms of my patrons to get into MicroStrategy. Many were reluctant, but they finally, I wore many down, and they're skeptical of cryptos, but they trusted me. They've been following me for decades, since 2006. So they, all right, we'll do it. Yeah. So what's the worst? And look what it's done. Look at the chart. This is nuts. No way. Look, I thought 1,000 plus before the halving. 1,200 if you get lucky. That was like fantasy. 1,200. And look what it's done. 1,650. That is insane. So I've like sold 80%. I've sold 80% of my MicroStrategy. Yo, this is nuts. It was cheap at 500, but at 1,650, it is blooming expensive. It's nearly borderline extreme. The maximum it could go to is about 1,800, but at 72k. But I'm not saying it's going there. This is nuts job. So I've sold most of my MicroStrategy, 80%, at a huge profit. Look at that. Buying on average under 500. Can't remember the exact number. It was under 500. And selling it for 3x. So what MicroStrategy done is completely insane. 1,650 at 72k. I thought maybe at 100k Bitcoin. Quiet down. Quiet. Quiet, you noisy buggers. What you doing? Oh, it blends in. So MicroStrategy, that crazy Michael said is on infinity loop. Print shares, sells debt, buys Bitcoin, market cap goes up. I've covered this countless times before. That's why it was a no-brainer. So the focus of this video is going to be my Bitcoin trend forecast for 2024. Comprehensive in-depth analysis that was first made available to my lovely patrons. You know, for $5, look what they got access to. Yeah, if you can't afford $5, I don't know what you're smoking. First, a word from Michael Saylor and his infinity loop before I get to my analysis proper. Quiet. This budgie, I'm going to call it Michael Saylor. Always tweeting. Yeah. This budgie is Michael Saylor. Are you going to come to me?
They have any doubt whatsoever? That's my one question, because I was thinking about you at 17,000, and now I look at it now, and it's I just can't believe what the market cap of your company is based on it now. I guess, and the other thing is, when it halves, should we, if we look at it on stock to flow, do we have to just double what the potential price is based on, if you use that metric? Is that a valid metric to use? And after the halving, shouldn't it be 140,000 immediately if it's worth 72 now?
Two good questions, and thanks for asking me. First, with regard to Bitcoin, no, there's no doubt in my mind Bitcoin was a better investment at 17,000 than it was at 65,000. I take the Warren Buffett view on this. Bitcoin's a superior investment to gold, equity, bonds, and real estate because it's digital. You can trade it 1 million times faster than conventional assets using a computer. It's available. Most other assets only trade less than 20% of the time. Bitcoin's trading 168 hours a week. We bought $800 million of Bitcoin, and a lot of it we bought over the weekend when all the conventional markets are closed. It's global. It's the most widely recognized and trusted investment asset in the world right now. It's ethical because it's the king of all commodities. There's no issuer. There's no company. There's no country controlling it. And fundamentally, it's useful. Thousands of market makers can trade it all the time. Millions of companies can trade it. Billions of people. If you want to buy a house on Saturday in Africa, this is the way to do it. If you want to buy a car on Sunday morning, this is the way to do it. So it's a pretty great asset. It's the greatest of the assets, in my opinion. There's no second best asset. So I didn't have any question about it. We're just waiting for the rest of the world to realize how good it is. As for your second question, the halving, look, the selling in the market for the past month has been primarily bankruptcy estates that are liquidating GBTC at FTX or Genesis or the like. Once they got done rebalancing, the natural sellers are the miners. The miners can only sell 900 Bitcoin a day right now. They're only going to be able to sell 450 Bitcoin a day coming the end of April. As long as there's more demand in the market than the 450 Bitcoin a day, there isn't any catalyst to drive this asset down. It has no cash flows. The critics think that's a defect. It's a feature. With no cash flows, no quarterly results, no product cycles, this is the longest lived asset in the financial ecosystem with the least uncertainty. We're buying it to hold it 100 years. So that being the case, that $66,000 to $16,000 crash, that shook out the tourists, that shook out the non-believers. When it was 16,000, we were all ready to write it to zero. And that's what you'll find with the Bitcoin maximalists. So now we're writing it the other direction, and the protocol's working to everybody's benefit. There's just no reason why it shouldn't just keep adjusting up to find the marginal supply as the demand builds.
Bitcoin Crypto Mania, 72K Bitcoin proxy MicroStrategy 1650. So here's my Bitcoin analysis and concluding trend forecast for the whole of 2024. That was first made available to patrons who support my work, who were buying Bitcoin from 16K, no kidding, 16K, where this trend forecast for 2024 dates back to 27K. See, I don't use dates, I use Bitcoin price now. And then we had MicroStrategy at under $500 in January, all for the price of a cheap Martini, $5, that's all. So I've received my Bitcoin gift. I could not have been any clearer at the time, both for Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. Gravy trains, I've warned you. The gravy trains are leaving the station. Get on board now. That's literally the title. As you can see, my Bitcoin trend forecast points to a target of between 120k to 170k. That was in October. By mid-2025. However, like I said, that was last October. Since which time I have narrowed my expectations down somewhat of how this trend will play out, given that Bitcoin is pumping hard. That I warned, a good 4 months ago in December or November, that I suspect will catch most crypto investors out, and thus they will lose all of their gains as Bitcoin tops out well before the end of this year. And this cryptos, Bitcoin, MicroStrategy is just the icing on the cake. It's extra. The main focus is the AI mega trend that me and my patrons have been riding up, down, and back up again for several years. Invested 95% invested in October 2022 lows, and destined to keep riding this AI megatrend for several more years. That has seen the likes of AMD go from $60 to $225. I stated repeatedly when AMD was falling, like when it felt like falling knife to $60, I'm not worried what price AMD falls for, because eventually it will go to new all-time high and eventually will trade to $200 a share. I actually wrote this and commented at the time. This is why, as the stocks fell, I wasn't bothered. I just bought them more, invested more and more and more until I became near 100% invested. Probably around November 2022. I think the last falling knife I bought heavily was Tesla. I'm sure that I had another plunge deeper into January 2023 even, I think. It's a bit foggy now, but I remember that fell later than the others. Anyway, do consider becoming a patron. This is probably your last chance. Look, $5 would have bought you a MicroStrategy at $500 or less. Now look at it, $16.50. This is factual. You can actually go read the article, go read the comments where I'm literally arm twisting patrons. Now I can't say, oh, you should go and buy. I say I am buying more. What are you doing, Nidhi? I can only tell you what I'm doing. I have doubled my position in MicroStrategy. This is why when it fell below 500 in January, I doubled my position in MicroStrategy. That's telling you, isn't it? You can wait for $400 if you want, but you know, I wrote sub 500. That's the buying level. It doesn't matter what price it trades down to. It doesn't matter, because eventually, pretty soon, before the halving, that's mid-April, it's going above $1,000. I can't say how much higher than that, because there is the 1200, which it could briefly. Anyways, I've already written all this before. I'm not going to go over it again.
Hark on the bells, sweet orange bells, all seem to say, fiat in decay. ETFs are here, bringing the cheer to young and old, balls in control. Ding dong, no coin is from drawn, liquid rising, also lightning. One seems to hear FOMO and cheer from everywhere, feeling the air. Candles and bells, hush, river fun, doors, hill and bells, sheep looks so pale. Bitcoin is here, wild bells are singing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here, merry, 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 merry. Merry Christmas, merry, 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 merry Christmas. All of us and on without end, all time has on, mortgage your home. Hark how the bells, sweet orange bells, all seem to say, fiat in decay. ETFs are here, bringing the cheer to young and old, balls in control. Ding dong, no coin is from wrong, liquid rising, also lightning. One seems to hear FOMO and cheer from everywhere, feeling the air. Candles and bells, hush, river found, doors, hill and bells. Sheep looks so pale, Bitcoin is here, and wild clubs are singing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here, merry, 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 merry Christmas, merry, 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 merry Christmas. All of us and on without end, all time is on, mortgage your home. Hark how the bells, sweet orange bells, all seem to say, fiat in decay.